You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
Broken barricades, tear gas shells, lathi-charges, stone pelting, injured farmers and policemen, and one dead allegedly from police firing. What was supposed to be a peaceful show of protest by the farmers on Republic Day against the centre's farm laws turned into a day of violence and unprecedented chaos in the national capital. Veering off the pre-designated routes for the farmers' parallel tractor rally, which was agreed upon in advance by the Delhi police and farmer leaders, thousands of protesters stormed into the Red Fort, some on foot, others on tractors, and hoisted religious flags. This is the first time that protesting farmers entered Delhi since they started camping at the capital borders. Breaking police barricades early in the morning, farmers from the Ghazipur border side reached Indraprastha, Delhi's ITO, and other parts of central Delhi, where they were subjected to tear gas shellings and lathi-charge by the Delhi police, even as farmer leader Rakesh Tikait told the media that the rallies are being undertaken peacefully. While in a statement later in the days, the Samyukt Kisan Morcha called off the tractor rally and urged protesters to come back to the borders. In a press conference, the Delhi police lays the blame squarely on the protesters for the violence. And in the middle of all these chaotic events, the centre also responded by suspending internet services around the national capital from where these rallies began and in the adjoining areas till midnight on 26 January. But how did the protests take such an unexpected turn? In today's episode, you'll hear from the Quint's reporters who were on the ground today and covered the farmers' tractor rally from different points. Anthony Rosario, Shadab Moisey, who are senior correspondents for the Quint and Quint Hindi, and Nishta Gautam, opinions editor for the Quint. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. So let's get to the very beginning of the day to understand how the violence broke out. As 11 rounds of talks between the centre and the farmers couldn't resolve the stalemate, farmer organizations announced a tractor rally on Republic Day in a bid to intensify their ongoing protest. In response, the centre had demanded the Supreme Court to step in and disallow the rally, saying any disruption or obstruction in the said functions would not only be against the law and order, public interest, but would also be a huge embarrassment for the nation. However, the Supreme Court left it to the Delhi police to decide how to allow the farmer rallies to take place. The farmers were only allowed to stage the rallies from 12 pm to 5 pm in view of the Republic Day parade. The three routes agreed upon were from the Ghazipur border, Tikri border and Singhu border. All three rallies had pre-approved routes from Delhi police and were supposed to return back to the respective borders by 5 pm. But by 8:30 am, multiple reports came in of farmers heading towards the national capital in large numbers in their tractors. And by 9 am, it was reported that farmer protesters breached Delhi-Haryana Tikri border. Large swaths of farmers were also reported to be travelling towards Delhi from the Singhu border, where they were greeted by a shower of flowers from their supporters. Here is Shadab reporting on the rally from the Singhu border towards Delhi.
जब सुबह अर्ली मॉर्निंग व्हेन वी रीच्ड सिंघू बॉर्डर, उसके बाद हम लोगों ने देखा कि वहाँ से प्रोटेस्ट स्टार्ट हुआ और फिर किसान जो है, जो रूट था उनका, उसके अकॉर्डिंग वो चल रहे थे. वो तमाम जो किसान प्रदर्शनकारी थे, वो प्रोटेस्टर्स अपने रास्ते में चल रहे थे.
When we reached Singhu border, we saw the protests traveling on the designated route given to them.
ट्रैक्टर्स था, उनके साथ अलग गाड़ियाँ थी और आपको तिरंगा था और उनके अपने झंडे थे. ये सब कुछ नॉर्मल चल रहा था. उसमें निहंग जो सरदार होते हैं वो भी थे, जो घोड़े पे थे वो लोग सवार. सारे लोग नॉर्मली सब कुछ प्रोटेस्ट हुआ वहाँ पर.
The rally was a mix of farmers on foot, tractors, cars, even the Nihang Sikhs. The armed warriors clad in blue were part of the rally. Everything was going smoothly and peacefully. Along the route, there were several supporters of the farmers who welcomed them as well.
और वो लोग, उनका जो रूट बना हुआ था सिंघू बॉर्डर से, वो सारे लोग सही अपने रूट पे चल रहे थे और किसी तरह कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुई. हमें रास्ते में भी, जब हम रास्ते में पहुंचते गए, अलग अलग बॉर्डर, अलग अलग जो एरिया आता गया, वहाँ पे लोग मौजूद थे, उनके वेलकम के लिए लोग थे. लेकिन खबरें आई फिर उसके बाद हमें कि दूसरे इलाके जो गाजीपुर से किसान चले थे वो आईटीओ पहुंच गए हैं और फिर दूसरे इलाके से जो किसान थे वो आईटीओ की तरफ और रेड फोर्ट की तरफ आ गए हैं.
However, we got several news reports that farmer rallies which started at Ghazipur and Tikri have reached Delhi's ITO and have also started their march towards the Red Fort.
But the farmers group which was marching in from Ghazipur was reportedly met with tear gas shells. Several videos shot by the Quint reporters and others show a very distressing and chaotic sight at several places in the heart of Delhi, where the police and the protesters faced each other with lathis and tractors. Visuals emerging from Delhi ITO show police using tear gas on protesters and then being chased by protesters in retaliation. At the Chintamani Chowk, Delhi police also resorted to lathi-charges in Shadara. Several protesters were also seen on top of police vehicles, removing police barricading at the Mukarba Chowk in Delhi. Anthony, who was at the ground zero, describes what unfolded at ITO and how things went south.
The clashes that we saw at ITO and the tensions that broke out at ITO between the Delhi police and protesting farmers uh, wasn't supposed to happen, in the sense because the farmers weren't supposed to take this route. The farmers were supposed to, I'm talking about the farmers who had marched, who had taken out a tractor rally from Ghazipur, and they were supposed to stay in and around Ghazipur, move till Akshardham, not even till Akshardham, close to Akshardham, and then move back to Ghazipur. But the farmers decided that they will take their rally beyond the sanctioned route, and then they headed to Red Fort. And they crossed Yamuna, then they came to Sarai Kale Khan, and then they moved towards ITO. Now, of course, in between, the tractors were, in a sense, breaking barricades and moving ahead. That way, there wasn't any tear gas as such. But when they reached ITO intersection, the main ITO junction in New Delhi, which is at the heart of Delhi, that is when things started going south. First, the barricades were, the tractors, oh, of course, they were stopped, right? So that's why the farmers were trying to break those barricades, and there was a large Delhi police presence as well. The bandobast was pretty strong, and the policemen started firing tear gas. And that's when the protesters moved back. Now, the moment the police would stop firing tear gas, because the police wouldn't fire tear gas every second, the protesters would come back. They would fire, and then the protesters would go back. This is what happened. And then in between, there was also some stone pelting, and that is that the stone being pelted by probably by the protesting farmers in response to the tear gas being fired by police, Delhi police. Then there's reached the situation when the protesters, still defying tear gas, moved to the main intersection, took a right, and then it was absolute chaos there. Stones were flying here and there, tear gas was being fired, and then it was a very chaotic situation. And unfortunately, amid all of this, now ITO intersection, if you see, there are several important institutions to which this ITO intersection leads to. One would be the Supreme Court towards the left, and there's also the BJP headquarters, which is straight drive just across the signal, right? A couple of tractors tried to go towards the BJP headquarters, and of course we were not there when this happened, but then what it seems that a tractor that was trying to go towards BJP headquarters had ran into maybe a pavement or some sort of an obstacle and then turned upside down, leading to the death of one protesting farmer. Unfortunately, this is what had happened, and we reached there a couple of minutes later. We saw the farmer lying on the street in a pool of blood. We couldn't really establish the identity of the farmer or where he's from. He was taken away in an ambulance a couple of minutes, after 20 minutes after the incident took place. While this happened, which is just across the ITO signal, some farmers had managed already to take a right, breaking all the barricades, and had reached Red Fort.
A protester also reportedly died near Delhi's ITO. Protesting farmers claimed that the man was killed after being shot at by the Delhi police and refused to surrender the body of the deceased, who was later identified as Navneet Singh from Bajpur, Uttarakhand. Protesters had later wrapped him in a tricolour flag after the accident. Now by 2 p.m, farmers had breached barricades as they marched towards Red Fort during the rally, before finally arriving at the monument to stage a protest. Several protesters also entered the monument, climbed walls, and hoisted two flags, the Kisan flag and the Nishan Sahib. While some news reports claimed that there were attempts to supplant the tricolour or that the flag hoisted by the protesters were Khalistani flags, these were found to be false and misleading reports. The Quint's fact-checking initiative Webkoof also confirmed that the Kisan flag and the Nishan Sahib flags were mounted on empty poles. Nishta Gautam, who was reporting from the Red Fort, talks about how the protest intensified at the monument.
I reached the Red Fort around 2:30 this afternoon after walking with the farmers and covering a route of around 2 kilometers. And as I reached there were already thousands of protesters already at the venue, and there was some sort of police deployment, but I did not see anybody in action. The police personnel were sitting on the ground. Going by the number of DTC buses that were parked right outside the Red Fort, I can say that a very heavy police deployment was actually done in anticipation of this protest, but I did not see any police personnel stopping protesters from entering the Red Fort. As a matter of fact, the police were sitting on the ground. At least 200 uniformed personnel were sitting on the ground. They were just waiting for some kind of an order, and I spent around 45 minutes to 1 hour inside Red Fort talking to people, capturing visuals, but I don't think any order came in, because as I was exiting Red Fort, I spoke to one of the constables and asked him in Hindi कि भैया क्या चीज़ का वेट कर रहे हो, क्या है, क्यों खड़े हो यहाँ पे, क्या हो रहा है. Then he said कि जी कुछ नहीं हो रहा, ये तो आम बात है, which means that he wasn't really perturbed, and he said कि हमारे पास कोई order तो है नहीं, ना रोकने के ना कुछ और करने के. The gathering area right under the tricolor where our flag is hoisted, right below that, there was a huge group of people. There were protesters, there were also some police personnel, but they were not clashing with each other. And there was a little scuffle, and I wanted to figure out what it was all about, so it turned out to be quite funny. Because there was this very hot-headed young man, and he was, letting out a charge of expletives at everybody around him. And I was quite intrigued, and I asked what the matter was, and then an elderly gent came and told that this guy wanted to climb up the parapets, climb up the ramparts of Red Fort, and put a protest flag up there. As a matter of fact, I saw quite a few people who were trying to climb up the walls of Red Fort and carrying orange-colored flags. And they wanted to hoist some flags. But I also have to say right here that there were people who were dissuading these young men from doing that. As a matter of fact, this guy who was quite visibly upset was saying कि हम यहाँ पे खून चढ़ाने आए हैं, and this elderly man just said कि खून चढ़ाने आए हो तो बाहर जाके चढ़ाओ, यहाँ पे तमाशा करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है.
In response to the clashes, the Samyukta Kisan Morcha condemned the unacceptable events and dissociated themselves from the anti-social elements who indulged in the clashes, saying, despite all our efforts, some organizations and individuals have violated the route and indulged in condemnable acts. Anti-social elements have infiltrated the otherwise peaceful movement. Rakesh Tikait, spokesperson for the Bharatiya Kisan Union, said that he was aware of some violence during the rally and blamed miscreants and political elements for trying to sabotage the protest. In a statement to ANI, he said the following: "We know the people who are trying to create a disturbance. They are identified. There are people from political parties who are trying to malign the agitation." In a press conference, Delhi Police Commissioner S.N. Srivastava said that the farmers drove tractors in different routes and before the fixed time, which he claimed led to vandalism. According to a Delhi police statement, 86 police officers have been injured in the clashes today. In a statement to ANI, Delhi police also stated that 4 cases have been registered in connection with the vandalism in East Delhi during the farmers' tractor rally. While neither the Home Minister Amit Shah nor the Prime Minister have released any statements yet, high-level meetings have been chaired in Delhi, Haryana and Punjab, which remain on high alert. Extra paramilitary forces are also likely to be deployed in the national capital following the high-level meeting. Opposition leaders, including Punjab Chief Minister Amarinder Singh, who has been a supporter of the farmers' agitation so far, strongly condemned the violence. In a tweet, he said the following: "The violence by some elements is unacceptable. It will negate goodwill generated by peacefully protesting farmers. Kisan leaders have disassociated themselves and have suspended the tractor rally. I urge all genuine farmers to vacate Delhi and return to the borders." Delhi's ruling Aam Aadmi Party, in a statement, strongly condemned the violence and blamed the centre for allowing the situation to deteriorate. The statement further read, "Farm leaders have said that those who have indulged in violence today were not part of the movement and were external elements. Whoever they are, the violence has certainly weakened the movement which was going so peacefully and in a disciplined manner. This story is still developing, and we'll come to know more about the details about the clash in the coming days. You can catch all the coverage regarding the farmers' protest on the Quint's website. If you like listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.